a full understanding of about using equipment, about video editing, about audio editing, about color grading, putting all those steps, you know, when we're interviewing people, some tips on what we should be doing when we're interviewing people. All those good things is what we're going to go through as part of this project. Now, we have quite a large number of participants here, and unfortunately, it's a mixture of different countries. So in doing this project, we are going to, if you would like to work in groups, that is fine to create one project. If, however, you would like to work by yourself, but you don't have an access to a group, or it's difficult for, you know, from a logistic point of view, then you can do it by yourself. It works either way. However, if you are working in groups, you need to let us know who are the group members that are working on this group. And the reason for that is that we are tracking basically who are going to be part of this group, so that at the end of it, we can issue a certificate to each of those individuals. So if you are going to be working in a group, you need to let us know who are the group members that are working on this group, okay? So with that, I'm just going to start sharing my screen here, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so, right. So basically, it's a filmmaker's course, and it's, like I said, it's going to be from concept to completion. And I am going to be the host or the tutor of this particular course. So just a little bit about myself. You might be asking yourself, well, who am I and why am I, you know, good enough to teach you something? Well, to start off, my name is Riyad Muhammad, and I have a little bit of experience in terms of film and video editing and putting together all of these good concepts, right? I have never studied it formally, so I'm letting you know that up front, that I have not studied filmmaking or anything, but I have worked with people. And I see one of them who was part of a film that we did right here is Adib, and he was a part of a short film, was a project that we did. So I was an executive producer of a short film that was shown in IMAX in Trinidad. And I acted in that short film as well as I acted a very small role in a full featured film, which I will give you a quick little introduction to. And then over many years, I've created many different videos. So in terms of using different software for editing, using different type of camera equipment for filming, I have a little bit of experience in that, but it's all experience-based. It is not anything formal. So I'm just letting you know that up front. So if you have any questions and I can't answer it, I will try to get the answer to it and come back to you on it, okay? So in terms of starting off, and before we get into it, I just want to kind of briefly show you two short videos, and they're very short, and they are, let me just pull them up here. Right. So the first one, okay, let me just switch back to here. Right. So the first one is this particular one, which is the full feature film. I told you that it was a full feature film that I acted in. This is the trailer for that.
I recorded. It's recorded. Let's see if you...
Yeah.
John. Yes. What is it coming for you?
I'm going Calcutta. Calcutta? I have to try to leave India.
Great panic seized the Indians as they were confined to their area in the lower deck.
How many hole? Yeah. These are the 6 men allotted to me.
would you like to be a school teacher when you finished your contract here?
So I'm not gonna go through the entire thing, but it's a 2-minute. This is just a 2-minute thing on the feature film I told you that I worked on. This is the feature film that I was part of. The next one is this one, and Adib, I see that you're part of the student here, but you would know about this one. You were starring in this one, actually.
Other people my age, wait, my name is Junaid, and I have superpowers. Nah, I wish. I'm pretty much your average Muslim guy. I read a little Quran on a daily basis, even though it takes me some time to get the words right. I give charity. Hey, I'm a Muslim. Islam is perfect, but I'm not.
Dad, we have any headache tablets?
No, we're gonna buy some.
A monologue?
So those are just the 2 little short films. I didn't go through everything because it'll take too long, but that basically were 2 of the film that we worked on in terms of creating. The second one was a short film which was shown in IMAX. The first one is a full featured film, which it came out last year, I believe it was. So in terms of getting into the program, I just start back sharing here, and here we go. Right, and in terms of doing the course now, and in terms of how we're going to go do this course, we're going to go through a process of coming up with an idea, which is a topic and a theme and a one-liner, which sort of defines our project, right? And that is what we're going to be covering today. All right. Then we're going to look into some little bit of ideas of how we're going to research this topic, and this, of course, we'll deal with next week. And a couple of these are going to be merged together, but this is just I'm going through the process of what we're going to be doing. After that, we're going to get into our planning stage. So we're going to come up with the idea, we're going to research the topic, then we're going to do some planning. Then we are going to come up with a short list of things in which we need to do, in which we need to come up with, so that we can then get into the next stage, which is writing a script for our project. Then we're going to get into the actual filming of the project. Then we're going to get into the editing of our project. Then we're going to look a little bit about some copywriting issues. And lastly, we're going to look about some ways in terms of distributing, some of the ways in which we can get our product out there. Now, bear in mind that this is only a 6-week course. So all that you're seeing there is going to be done not in very great detail, because we don't have the time to get into any sort of lengthy detail. But as we go along, any questions that you may have, or any sort of issues that you may have, we will work it out and come up with it. So like I said, it's a lot. When you look at what it is we're trying to accomplish in 6 weeks, it is a lot. Film, creating a film, takes more than 6 weeks, really. It takes quite a long time. Sometimes it goes into years. But of course, what we're trying to produce here is a very short film. So it basically we should be able to accomplish it in the 6 weeks period. If we do need to extend it maybe to another week or so, we will consider doing that. But for now, the objective is that we are going to get this all done in a 6-week time frame. Okay, so the first one is an idea. Okay, so when we look at idea, it's about, we're going to try and tell a story that you care about, something that is important to you, right? We're going to start with a subject that excites you. If you're lukewarm about a subject matter, chances are the final product is going to be lukewarm as well. So that's why it's important that when you come up with an idea, you are quite excited about this idea, right? It's something that you're very interested in. And if you're working as a group, then the group should come up with an idea that is exciting to the group, right? So that you become passionate about it and it makes sense to you. And it's something that you'd really put your time and effort into it, right? There are plenty of people out there who are going to, not probably get your idea or think that your idea is not necessarily the best idea, but at the end of the day, this is your project. This is something that you need to, or you would like to tell the people out there. So you are always going to have negative comments, but what you need to focus on is on the positive side, what you're putting out and what the positive comments are and what you should be focusing on. Okay, so that's the first step in terms of looking at this whole project, is that we're going to come up with an idea. Okay, the next one is that we're going to look at doing some research. So you come up with an idea, then you need to do some research to understand more about it. See what else has been done on this topic, what else has been done on this whole idea that you have. See what other people put out there. And not because you find a lot of information out there that people have put out that you're going to turn away from it, right? Because sometimes there's a lot of topics that are out there, a lot of films or documentaries that are out there, but then your perspective is what matters. Your unique perspective is what matters, right? So you try to learn everything you can about the subject that you're looking at, right? Sometimes the storyline is obvious, sometimes it's not. You have to do a little bit of digging to find out what the real storyline is, but this whole research area is about gathering facts and searching for, storylines and trying to come up with these things, right? Sometimes the gem of your story, you start off something, you start doing research, and the true gem of it, or the true reality, or the true part that you want to get out there is not necessarily there until you start digging and you start doing some research. And then, it clicks and it comes, wham. You read something, you look at some picture or something that you see out there and it clicks to you. That is what the real gem of the story comes out. So we need to do a little bit of research into what idea that we have come up with. Okay. The next one, after we've come up with our idea, we have done our research, we need to start making a plan. Now, we don't need to finish our research. We can start making the plan while the research is going on, right? So basically what we're going to do in this section is about creating an outline, thinking about how we're going to tell this story. We have this idea that we have done some research, we have all these different ideas thrown about, all these different pieces of information that is thrown all over the place. We're now starting to make a plan to how we want to let our people know, our audience that is, how we want our audience to know, how it is we want them to see the story that we are telling. In this stage, we're going to be looking at some structures, the style. We're going to also be looking as if there's footage or videos that we can use within our video, our project, right? Do we want to, the way we're going to present it, do we need any character maybe to interview, right? Some core story points, the elements of the story that are compelling. What are these elements that are compelling to you, that tingle you with intrigue, right? These are some of the things that, in terms of making a plan, that we need to consider, right? And as well as how we want to intrigue our audience, how we want to present this project, this film, this short story, this documentary, how we want to present this thing to our audience that will intrigue them. Because at the end of the day, the audience, once they are intrigued, they will continue to continue looking at the film, because some people, within the first 5-10 seconds, they kind of make a judgment on your film and it's out the door, right? Whether the decision is made, whether they're going to continue looking at it or whether they're going to stop looking at it. So we have to now go through and look and see how we're going to intrigue our audience. What can we put up in the very beginning that will continue to encourage them to look at our project? Okay. After this, now we're going to create a short list. And this short list is basically a short list of footage and interview that we need to make our film, right? So we have now some sort of plan in our minds of how we want to present this. So we now need to start considering making a list of the footage that we will need, interview that we may probably need if that's the way we're going. It's basically a list of ingredients we need to put our project together, right? You know, it depends on the complexity. You may want to consider creating a budget if your project is current. But for this particular case, I don't think creating a budget will be necessary, simply because it's a 3 to 5 minute project that we're doing. And hopefully we can deal without. I don't think there's too much of any big budget that one is needed. Of course, if there is a big project that you guys are getting into, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be able to accomplish it in 6 weeks. So we will need to keep it as a short project so that we can accomplish it within 6 weeks. After that, we're going to look at scripting, or writing the script for our project. Right? So once all the footage is shot, well, the footage is not going to be shot yet. I've changed this up a little bit in that the script will be done first. So we've organized our thoughts, we've made our plan. We're going to write a script, and we're going to look at a software that we can use to write our script. The main thing about a script is that it's not necessarily something that you use for actors to read, but a script is a little bit more than that. A script actually describes what the audience is seeing and hearing. It also tells, when we get into the filming, it also gives it tells the people who are filming, the director, if you will, or the cameraman, if you will, what it is they should be filming, how they should set up the cameras to do the shooting of this film. That script is what will identify them, whether it's daylight, whether it's inside, whether it's outside. It gives a sort of a little narration of how the scene should be set. And that's why it's important that we do this script so that we get it very clear in our minds as to how it is we're going to end up shooting this particular project, right? So then we move on to the next stage, which is now start filming. And when we start filming, we take that script and we will then use that script to film what it is that we need for this project. We'll also talk a little bit about, on this filming side, about some filming equipment, lighting, audio, maybe location, some tips on interviewing, right? And also, when we look at this, we will also look at camera angles, things like close-ups, medium shot, what are wide shots, these kind of things, because these are the different things that all go together when you're filming. But once you have your script in place, the script will help guide you as to how you're going to go about filming this whole project, right? After that, we're going to start looking at editing. So we're going to take all this footage that we have just filmed, and we are going to start editing it. We're going to putting together all these pieces of footage that we have created, and we're going to start editing them. So for this particular stage, there are two things that we need to be aware of. One is that we have to have a fairly decent computer, and we have to have a video editing software. So the computer is up to you guys, that you need to have access to something that is pretty good. If you don't, when it comes to video editing, if you have a very slow computer, it's going to frustrate you because video editing takes a lot of RAM, it takes a lot of memory, it takes a fairly decent processor to when you're doing video, especially if you're doing high quality video, right? If your clips were filmed either in 4K or even full HD, if your computer is not, it's not the best, it's going to frustrate you. So you will have to consider getting something either borrowing it or buying or something that is capable of doing, it's a fairly high specs, basically. When it comes to the video editing software, I will provide you with a video editing software. So there are two options that we will look at. One is a very simple video editing software, which gives you and teaches you the basics. And it's very easy. You don't have to even install it on your computer. You can run it off of a flash drive. So you can even move it around. So if you're borrowing somebody's computer or you're going to use somebody's computer at their homes, the video editing software, this might be the way to go with using one of these portable editing softwares, right? Like I said, you can take it with you on a flash drive. You just plug it into whatever computer and you can access the software. I will show you all of that. If, however, you have a computer that is capable of, using a little bit of a more powerful software, then I will also give you access to Power Director, which it's fairly simple to use, but it's also a little bit, it's more powerful than the average video editing software out there. It's not as good as Adobe Premiere, but it gives you a very good idea of understanding film editing, and it has a lot of nice templates that you can have a very good product at the end of it using that software. But this will all depend on you and your equipment, your computer equipment. Okay, so then we will talk a little bit about that whole editing process. After that, I want to get into some copyright issues, right? Now, even though I have copyright issues sort of scheduled for a little bit later on in the end of the course, I am going to send out some stuff very early. It's not going to be for this session because this session is all about planning and stuff like that. But certainly before we start filming, right? Before we start filming, we will have to get some idea about copyright. And the reason is you don't want to find yourself in any sort of problems where there's a copyright claim on your project. Okay. When I talk about copyright, I'm not just talking about music, like you may use a background sound that is copyrighted, right? I'm not talking only about, I'm talking about when you're actually filming. When you're actually filming your documentary, you need to be aware of what you're filming. You need to be aware that there's not a copyrighted sign showing up in the background of what you're filming, right? You need to be aware of these things. And that's why there's a little bit of a guidelines. I will try to produce that maybe by next session so that once you get into the filming, you can have a little bit of an idea about that. The real issue, and most times when we think copyright, we're thinking about when we're putting together the film, that we do that in terms of music and maybe even a piece that we may read in terms of a wording, those are copyrights, but it goes a little bit further than that. And like I said, you have to be careful when you're filming that nothing copyrighted shows up even in the background of your film, okay? And lastly, what we're going to talk about is distributing and some of the ways in terms of distributing, some of the ways in which you're distributing your project, right? Creating a DVD for distribution, YouTube, those kind of different things. What, in terms of distribution, for the people who produce these short films coming out of this course, there is this IPTV station in Toronto here that is called Caribbean Showtime. And what they focus on is a lot of Caribbean stuff, right? The IPTV station is, it focuses on a lot of stuff out of the Caribbean. All their content is Caribbean based. So what we're going to do is that we've negotiated with them that some of the selected ones, maybe the better projects, or if all of them are good, and I'm hoping that all of them are good, they will be aired on Caribbean Showtime TV, okay? So you will have your project seen by a number of people. And the good thing about this, it's an IP station, it's also online, so you yourself can see your project being shown on Caribbean Showtime TV, right? So I'm hoping that that is some kind of incentive for you guys to do a very good job, to stick with this course, and to really be part of it and take it to heart. Now, having said that, and I think this is a good point, that a good place that I want to make this point. And I want to talk about commitment, okay? Commitment to this course. If you are going to go through this course, we need your full commitment to it. Meaning, when I say commitment, I mean that you take it very seriously. And secondly, you attend all of the classes, okay? All of the sessions that are done. When I mean commitment, I don't mean that you send me an email 5 minutes before we start saying, I can't make today, okay? You have to make it, if you are going to send me that email telling me you can't make it, it has to be a really good reason, okay? Because when I'm talking commitment here, I'm talking real commitment. I'm talking that you make it a priority to attend the classes. Make it a priority that if you're working as part of a group, that you pull your weight, you do what is needed, because at the end of it all, we're looking for that commitment, okay? So I just thought I'd mention that there. Is there any questions that anybody would like to ask for any clarity before I go on to the next session, which is, which we'll talk a little bit, which we'll start getting into about a process of coming up with a title, coming up with a topic. It's a process of which we're going to go through right now. So before we get into that, are there any questions or comments?
I think there's one question from Adib about would storyboarding be part of this shortlisting?
Oh, no, it's fine. I can't get my answer while he was talking after, so it's okay.
Oh, all right. Any other questions or comments? Let me just pull the chart up here. Okay. What are minimum specs for a PC? Okay, your average PC will work, right? It doesn't have to be any elaborate things. Of course, the better PC that you have is any modern PC would be good enough, right? If, however, you have a PC from 1980, right? It's not going to be good enough, right? But once you have a PC, let's say you bought within the last 3 to 4 years, it should be good enough, right? Once your RAM is between a minimum of, I would say your RAM needs to be a minimum of 4 gigabytes, right? Once you have a RAM of 4 gigabytes and a fairly decent processor, whether it's AMD or whether it's an Intel processor, it should be good enough. If you are not sure about your PC, we can talk about it. But like I said, I have a version of this of our editing software that that basically will sort of work a little bit better with slower PCs, right? What is the minimum? So video card necessary. Ideally, video card, if you don't have one, I mean, all PCs come with a video card, right? I mean, you wouldn't be seeing video if you don't have a video card, right? But you need to, your video card, the better is. And where a video card makes a difference is when it comes to the actual color of your project, right? The actual color, once you start getting to color grading and stuff like that, that is where a video card will, a good video card will be, would make a difference. However, don't worry too much about it. I mean, I mentioned these things, but don't worry about it. If we get into it and the color is a little bit off or whatever, don't worry too much about it, okay? Don't make it a factor in terms of whether you're deciding to stay into the course or not. Okay, we'll try to sort those things out as we go along. Okay, any other questions or comments? No? Yeah, maybe. All right. So unmuted their mic. None from me.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam.
Anwar. I just saw someone ask a very good question you haven't touched on about what is called storyboard.
Yeah, okay. So storyboarding, I thought about doing storyboarding, but what I will do is, let me do this. I will touch on storyboarding, but and how storyboarding fits into once we're doing the project, okay? But I would not get into too much great detail about storyboarding, because storyboarding I'll just talk about the basics of it. So yes, since there's a concern, yes, I'll get into it. Okay. Do we need to buy filming equipment? That is up to you if you want to buy filming equipment or not. We will talk about filming equipment, but if you don't have it and you don't have access, ideally what you'll be looking for is a DSLR camera. If you don't have a DSLR camera, and a DSLR camera that can take an external microphone. If you don't have a DSLR camera, don't worry about it. You can use your phone. We will talk a little bit about your phone, your smartphone, not your phone from 1990s, right? Your smartphones. Okay. Then we're going to talk about a little bit about using your smartphones to film your project. So, like I said, the whole idea of this course is for you to get an understanding of the process, as well as to get an understanding of how the project is done from start to completion. So even if you use your smartphone now, that's fine, right? It may not be the best quality at the end of it, but once you understand the process, once you understand the whole process from start to finish, then that's fine. You can go and buy your equipment afterwards and then take this process now and use your new DSLR to film your project. But what we need to focus on here is the process of taking your idea and turning it into a finished product. Okay? Any other questions? No? Yeah, maybe? All right. Well, what I'll do is, I don't want to keep people back. So I'm just going to move on. And then as the questions come up, we'll deal with them. Okay? All right. So moving along, what I want to get into for today's session, apart from this whole overview that we've just done, what I want to get into is a process for coming up with a topic. So the 3 areas I want to cover today is coming up with your topic, coming up with a title, and coming up with a one-liner. And the reason we need to come up with these things is that it helps us define in our minds about our project. And it also helps us when we need to talk to other people about our project, whether it's an interview or whether we need to tell them, hey, look, I need for you to do this interview for me. You would have a very clear idea in your mind, what is your project about, as well as you'll be very clear in your mind, a title that you can tell them. So I can tell them, look, this project is called so-and-so, and this is what it's about. And this is what this piece is in terms of making this all clear in your mind. Okay? So when we look at a topic, we want to look at what is an important topic right now. And then so what we're going to do is basically make a list of what are some of the important topics trending right now. Some of the important topics that are trending that are important to you, of course. Because like I said, we want to do a project that you are the ones who it's important to, right? You want to create something that is important to you. Then you're going to select the most important one. After this list of important topics, you're going to select the most important one to you. And then you're going to be working that list, narrowing it down until you select a topic. So what I want to share with you is, I'm just going to stop sharing to bring on the other screen. And what I'm going to share with you is this particular form, okay? And it's basically, what I was telling you is that we need to make a list of important issues right now, right? That are important to you. So this form, you can use this form as a template to start listing out all these important topics that are important to you. Then circle between 3 to 5 of the issues above that are most important to you. So from the list that you put here, you're going to identify about 5 of them, right? And if there's one that calls out to you more than once, you can list it out there. If not, try sorting them into a numbered priority. Or you could cross out the ones less important. You keep narrowing the list until you reach one. And then once you keep narrowing down, then you can put your topic right here. You can include it. So this is just a template. It's all up to you, of course. This is just what I'm suggesting that you can use as a tool, and which I will share with you, to come up in terms of a process of coming up with your topic. So firstly, you're going to list out all stuff that are important to you. Then you're going to try and narrow down that list of important stuff until you come up with one that finally you think is what you want your topic to be about, okay? Right. The next one is title. Okay. Hold a second here. The next one is, so we dealt with topics, okay? And the next one we're going to talk about is, after we've come up with our topic, we're going to come up with a title for our project, okay? Now, in coming up with a title, okay, you want to have a title that is professionally sounding, and it also, when you speak to others, you know, it's something that you can relate to and they can relate to when you're speaking to others about your project. These are some tips about using or coming up with a title, right? So you may want to consider. Now, what I am trying to give you here is a process. Now, bear in mind, this is not the only process. Bear in mind that there are many other ways and methodologies out there. I am just suggesting one to you, okay? You can use something like an alliteration, which is basically repeated sounds that are appealing or snappy, like, and these are some examples I have here: Baby Boom, Easter Wedding, Fantastic Four, or another one could be like Fast and the Furious, right? These are using of these alliterations that you can help you come up with a title. And of course, if you can't come up with a title almost immediately, that's fine. You can come up with just a working title, and then you can refine that title as the project goes along, right? But having a title, or at least a working title in the start, what that helps you with is when you're talking to other people about your project, you have something to speak to them about. You have something to give them that gives them a very good idea of what it is you're doing, right? So if you can't come up with a title almost immediately, at least a working title, okay? And now I want to share with you another process of how that you can go through to come up with a title, okay? And this is, again, another process that I will share with you that you can use. Again, it's not a do-it-all, end-all. You know, it's not a one-time thing. It's just a process I am suggesting to you. If you already have a title, if you already know what project you want to work on, that's fantastic. But if you don't, then this is a way I'm suggesting that you can come up with a title. Okay. So like I said, the tips for the title is the use of an alliteration. Then if you can't, so then you can use this space here to brainstorm some keywords or possible titles, right? Then can you think of a title? So from what you have come up here, you can put down maybe 2 or 3 of some things that you have come up with, right? If you can't, you came up with some titles, but you are not quite convinced that that is the title to go with, right? Then you can, out of that, you can come up with a working title. Just something to, you know, like I said, to talk to people about something that you have in your mind, and you can refine it as the project goes along, okay? So this is just a little bit of another sort of a template that I can share with you that kind of, you can go through this process to come up with a title for your project, okay? Then, next one is, switch back across. Right. So after we have done the title, so we have done the topic, we have done the title, then what we need to do is to come up with a sort of a one-liner that sort of summarizes our project, right? This one-liner should kind of give us a very good idea of what our project is. And in our minds, it kind of helps us clarify what our project is. Again, I'm just going to go through another process for these one-liners, okay? And again, like I said, I will share these templates with you, right? So what you do is you use these spaces basically to make several drafts of your one-liner, and then you pick the best one for now, right? So it's very simple. You just come up with a couple different versions of your one-liners and you select one. And again, this can all be a work in progress. These are all just to help you or your team sort of become a little bit more clear in your mind what this whole project is about It's sort of a description when you're talking to people about your project, that it gives a very, very good idea about what your project are in just a one-liner. So by giving them the title and a one-liner, they should have a very, very, very good idea of what your project is about, right? And in terms of that, this is what I would like to cover for today. So in terms of this process, and then there's a last one that I will also share with you, which is basically a summary of what we just did. So here you'll put your project title, your one-line description, and your topic. Okay, this is just another template that I will share with you. So if you have it written in a written format, not only is it clear in your mind when you're speaking to others, but if you need to send an email to somebody, you can send them this summarized document that in a one page, they get a very good idea about what your project is. So I will share these templates with you. And for your assignment for next week, I would like for you all to work through this process to come up with a topic, to come up with a title, and to come up with a one-liner. So basically this last page, this last template should be filled out before the next session, okay? So that we have a very good idea of what our project is going to be. Also, teams, again, as a reminder, if you are going to be working in teams, we need to know who those teams are. So when we get this document from you guys, I can identify who are the members that are working on this particular project, okay? So once you fill this out, I will ask that we also get a copy of this so that we can we can identify who are the members working on this project. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, Riyad, I have a question. The project, how long is the project expected to be?
6 weeks. So by the end of
the project itself, like the film.
Oh, between 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm hoping that it can be some sort of documentary. I would suggest you stay away from a short film scenario with characters and acting and that sort of thing, because that that is a nightmare. Adib, you could attest to that. That is a nightmare. Scheduling people to come together to do the filming, it's a nightmare, okay? It takes a lot longer. So I would suggest you stay away from a short film with actors and trying to create a short film. My suggestion is we do something like a documentary style, whether it's narration or whether it is you interviewing somebody on some particular topic, but we do something that is simple that we can achieve within a short space of time. One of the questions that were asked was about film equipment. I just want to mention here that you can actually do a documentary without any film equipment, okay? You can find a lot of footage out there, a lot of photos out there on the internet that you can use, and of course taking into consideration all copyright issues, called copyrights, but you can find footage out there, and you can put together a documentary without going out and doing any filming whatsoever. Okay, so like I said, don't let the camera equipment stuff get to you. What is important is that you have to know how to edit it, how you have to take those footage, how you have to take those photos and actually edit it together to convey the story that you want to be telling, right? So like I said, please stay away from any sort of short film with acting in it that you need to bring together actors, okay? Let's keep this something simple so that we can get it done within the teams, because if you've never done filming before, if you've never done creating a short film before and you want to get into something with actors, you're going to get frustrated. I'm telling you, you're going to get frustrated. There's no ifs, ands, or about it. There's no ifs, ands, or but about it. You will get frustrated. You know, Adib, you can talk a little bit about that short film we created. But
I can. As frustrated as you're explaining it, it's just as much fun though, eh?
Yes, yeah, it's the fun aspect.
It's much more fun. I see Yasser have a question. He asked to explain what the one-liner is again. You know, to play up what the one-liner.
Right. So the one-liner, let me just share the screen here again. When we're doing the one-liner sort of summarizes your whole project. It's in one line. You can basically say, look, this one-liner about this project that talk about, let me see, I could probably think about an example of, you know, this documentary talks about our coral reefs and the effect of the coral reefs. Something like that, you know, something that by reading that one-liner together with your title, I can have a very, very good idea about what your project is about. And not only me, but you can have a very good idea about what your project is. It kind of clarifies.
Riyadh,
Yes?
is it like a slogan?
Yeah, it's technically like a slogan that sort of, but it gives it more about information and about describing your project, you know, but you're doing it in one liner. It's something short. I say one line, of course your one line could be a little bit long, but you're trying to convey to
someone
people.
called me from Tanzania. What's your full name?
So you're trying to convey your project in one line, the whole concept and idea about what it is you're doing. So for example, let's take your title. Your title may say might be called Coral Reefs, right? Or Coral Reefs in Tobago. Let's say that could be a title, right? Now your one-liner will go and explain a little bit more about that, saying, you know, we are going to look at the reasons why coral reefs are dying, right? So, you know, something that kind of gives a little bit more explanation about what it is your project is about. Is that clearer for you guys? Or are you still unclear?
Riyadh, you want to give them some suggestions of possible topics that they can consider? You know, whether it be like maybe something to do with Muslims in their island, or you know, whatever. I mean, any kind of suggestions you want to give that you consider as part of their.
Right. Yes. So in terms of topics, we would like to keep it, you know, something Caribbean, right? And maybe we can look at, you know, maybe issues of Muslims in the Caribbean, or maybe issues of Muslims in your island, or maybe a topic about one particular Muslim who has achieved quite a bit, you know, has made great achievements. Maybe you can do a documentary on that person. You know, something like that. Maybe there's a mosque or an institution that has been doing great things. You can do probably a documentary on that. In terms of just generally issues that have been faced by the Muslims now, you can do something like that. You know, these are just some of the topics. I don't want to, initially we were thinking about limiting it to Muslims, but I don't want to put that limitation. I think we'll, you know, we can do this. Ideally, we would like to see something like that because it gives us a good idea of what's happening there. But you know, if remember, the key to this as well is that something that you are passionate about. So if it's something that you are passionate about, then please, you know, try to do something on that. I would say as a rule, right, and this, there's no bending of this rule, do not do anything on illegal substances, things that we may consider haram, or things that, you know, unless you want to highlight an issue of that product. Like for example, if you want to deal with alcohol and the effects on people, then okay, maybe we'll consider that. But try to stay away from those kind of things. Try to stay away, try to be more in line with you know, so things that is positive. Let's say something that is positive. When you produce it, when we play it, when we show it, it gives a very positive image. Don't, you know, and try not to deal with things that are depressing. Okay, try to have an uplifting sort of a thing, because not only uplifting, but it also, you as a filmmaker and doing it for the first time, doing something uplifting will also be inspiring to you. It will also, you know, be helpful to you. You do something depressing, you know, you may not make it through the first half of the course. The other part is that, and I would really like this to be, is something Caribbean related, right? I know we have people from across the world here. This is a good opportunity for you to get to know the Caribbean, okay? So I'm hoping that you can do something that is Caribbean related, right? Any other questions? Let me just quickly glance at the chat here. Right. Any other questions? Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Would this recording be available on the Moodle page?
Yes, I am going to put this recording. Unfortunately, I forgot to record the first part of it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, so that's great. We'll definitely put it up on the page. Since our LMS is not from that LMS, which is our learning management system, is not operational just as yet on our website, I'm going to be using online Moodle, or something called Moodle Cloud, which each of you is going to get an email telling you this is where you access it. I'm going to put up these slides on there. I'm going to put up the forms, all those templates that I just went through with you. We're going to put those up there so you can download them and you can use those templates. Okay, so hopefully, inshallah, by the end of today, you will get an email telling you have access to the Moodle system, the Moodle learning management system, and you will simply log in. Now, just as a heads up, again, and this comes back to commitment, the Moodle system tells me exactly who logged in and when they logged in and how many times they logged in and when last they logged in and stuff like that. So we can have a very good track of if you did log in or you did not log in, okay? So again, it will give us an indication of your commitment, and we are begging you, please, if you are going to be part of this program, it's a free opportunity. Please do your part to make the commitment to be part of this, okay? And do what it is that is required. There's a question coming in here is, if they're from across the world and they're supposed to be about the Caribbean, how are they going to actually film? Isn't that the point though? Well, like I said, yes, but remember I also said that in terms of filming, you can do a doc that you actually need to do film something. So maybe you can come up with some sort of idea in terms of a topic and speak to somebody on the Caribbean. So you may speak to some, let's say, for example, I know we have people from Mauritius that are actually part of this. I don't know if you can find someone that you can speak to about an issue in the Caribbean or an island in the Caribbean, about Muslims in the Caribbean. The topic has to be on Caribbean. The actual footage, would be nice to have Caribbean, but I'm sure you can find footage as well to insert into your video, right? But I'm really hoping that it's Caribbean rated. If it's really difficult for you, then fine, choose something that is nice. But like I said, ideally, I would like the topic to be something on the Caribbean. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
What you just said is make it a bit difficult, even for myself. I'm thinking a different line. If you are, because some of us, like I'm also I'm from Mauritius, I live in UK. I think it will be better for this course purposes. Maybe you may not want to show it on the Caribbean network. That's not a problem. Is to be a bit more open in the theme. One or two things I have a suggestion, because for the people from different parts, they were thinking about, I don't say I have experience, but I have a bit of experience. But I like to look at the stories in the different perspective. So I would suggest to people to start with something, maybe for the purpose of the course, if that will help. I don't know what is your intention at the end is to show it as a showpiece. I think you are bringing it at a very high level in terms of showing it as a showpiece and to be very particular to the Caribbean island. Like if the people can do it, I expect them to do it maybe after monitoring them after there. But in the beginning, I would say like the 5 minutes, I would suggest something topic out of the box. So to start with, just an idea, I myself, okay, I was just thinking about what are my project I'm going to do. Okay, I love gardening, and I have some footage of my flowers when they were bright, not during this COVID. So I wanted to start something on my flower. So I give, which is going to be my backyard.
Okay.
But the
All
big
right.
thing is
Okay. So what I will do then is, because we have people from across the world and the issue is coming up about that's okay. and I guess it goes hand in hand with the very first thing that I spoke about, which is to do something that you you are enthusiastic about. So
yes,
with that in mind, okay, fine. We will open it up to something that, in sticking with that, do something that you are enthusiastic about, something that you want, it's personal to you, something that you would really like to do on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, I say in the same just as a brainstorming ideas. I don't know. Basically, I was just thinking about it. Or I have, for example, a flower. I'm thinking, okay, script is there, research is there, people thinking about all the item, what you just mentioned. Okay, everyone will do it in a very traditional way. Alhamdulillah, I have been trained myself to think in an and not in a traditional way. So everyone will write about this, about that. My perspective is that, for example, I take the example of myself and want the people also to open their mind. It's not always to see it, especially in film, from your eyes to the object. I want to do the object to me. That means I make the flower talk to me. You understand? And instead of me talking about my flowers, I will let the flower talk about me. So this is how I am intending to basically have a mind. So I like to think outside the box.
Well, and that's fantastic. That's great. Again, this is your film. However you want to present it and tell your story, that's fantastic. So, ideally, it's up to you. And like I said, we'll relax it because we're having the issue of people across the world may not necessarily be able to do something about the Caribbean. But like I said, the whole objective of this is that for you to be able to create a film from start to end. So the very first point was that you should try and do something that you are enthusiastic about, that it really speaks to you. So by all means, do that again. But I really, really don't want to see or have to look at any videos that deal with for example, some sort of illicit activity or something like that, right? Let's just try and stick to something that is, positive and things that are uplifting. Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Riyadh, just real quick, right? So we could still do a short film if we can, right?
Yes, I'm not saying don't do a short film. I'm just saying that if you have never done it, in your case, you did it before. You did it before, so you understand, and you may have access to people who you worked with before. So in your case, it might be good to, if you want to do it, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, if this is the first time that you're doing this, stay away from it until after you become a little bit more familiar, because there's a lot more to filming, doing a short film than just doing a documentary. It's a lot more in terms of scheduling and getting people to show up on time and all those different pieces, right? Okay. So in your case, if you want to go ahead and do it, I would love to see what you come up with.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my house is not available for filming this time.
That's fine. That's fine. I make do with whatever I have.
Right. Okay. So like I said, if you've done it before and you want to get into do a short film, but my advice is, do not bite off more than you can chew, because I know you were part of the filming, but I'm not sure if you saw the entire part of it, or if you had an opportunity to speak to Miriam in terms of the other part of it, in terms of getting people, them on a location,
before
getting the costumes, getting the,
I had make 2 for secondary school as well, so I have an idea.
Okay, because it's not easy, right? Because you're talking props, you're talking costumes, you're talking acting, you're talking, scheduling, you're talking getting a group of people, and the minute you get more than 2 people and you have to get them together, that's going to be a nightmare. So anyway, but please, one word of it. If by the second session things are not coming together, please change the course and move away from that short film and get into a documentary, so that we have something completed by the end of the 6 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, brother Riyadh, I want to say something about myself. A lot of years of video, but not on digital editing. I would take still myself as a novice. So So many of the people who are following the course, they will put ideas. They might film some footage X, Y, Z, but they will not put it together till you teach them about editing. So I think the project itself will continue till we reach that point where we can put it together. So we are all embarking on this journey with you from scratch.
I'm not quite understanding what you're saying. Are you saying that you want to work together with people to come up with
No.
a project?
Sorry, I say that many of us, I can see even my friend Dr. Yasir saying it's difficult. I wanted that everyone, the project you gave them, the paper, let them feel some ideas, okay? As putting some idea on paper. But in terms of filming, they can film something which they have in mind, but they will not put it together till they come to that stage how to edit it.
Right, yeah, exactly. So we are going step by step, stage by stage. So you will come up with your topic, you come up with your title, you come up with your one-liner, then you put everything together, we come up with a script so you know what you're going to be filming, then we go out and we film. Once you film, then you come back and then we edit and we put it all together.
Yes, correct. So those template is available when we log in?
So sorry, those templates, if everyone will
template, yeah, in Word document, it will be available. You will email it to us, or do we get those templates when we log in?
Yes. So like I said, later on today, you're going to get an email giving you access to an online system, an online learning management system called Moodle. You're going to get access to it. When you log in there, you're going to see all of the information, the recording of today's video, as well as those templates that I spoke about, and so that you'll have access to download them and start working on what it is. I will also put up, you'll see there's an assignment, and the assignment for before the next class would be to come up with a topic, title, and a one-liner for your project. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments, questions? Okay, so yes, the recording will be available. Like I said, you're going to get an email today. Everybody's going to get an email today telling them you have access to this online system where the recording, the templates, all of that, and as well as what the assignment is going to be on that. Okay, so you're going to get an email a little bit later on today. Well, maybe for you guys in Mauritius, it'll be tomorrow, but you know, inshallah, we'll see how it goes. Now, as a reminder, next week classes are not at 9 o'clock. Classes are at 8 o'clock. Correct, Riza? We're pushing it because we have a session that starts at 10, I believe.
10 o'clock, yes.
Yeah, so we need to push this class back at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The time here now is 8 minutes after 10. Whatever time is in your location now, please consider that time difference. And take that into account. So it will start at 8 Eastern Standard Time, right? Right now it's 10 o'clock, just 8 minutes after 10 here. So take that into account wherever you are in terms of a time difference. Yeah, yes, so you have a member of the Seventh-day Adventist, can she attend the recordings? Yes, no problem. We have no problem with anybody, Muslim or non-Muslim, attending these classes. Yeah, so just have her register though. Have the person, whoever she is, please have her register for the course, and then so she can get access to the recordings and stuff, right? So is everybody clear on the time for next week's session? In fact, I want everybody on that chat write the time, you just punch in the time the next week's session is starting for me. I want to make sure each and every one of you understand starting at 8 Eastern next week, Saturday. Yeah, 8, yeah, okay, 8, Now, by the way, you know all these, the reason I'm making you write it there is because all these chats are recorded, okay? So when we download the Zoom, we also get a file that puts the chat. So don't come back and tell me you didn't understand that they were supposed to start at 8 a.m. next week, okay? I'm just kidding, guys, okay? I'm not that serious. But I really need to know feedback. One of the things about doing, teaching a course is I need feedback. And I need feedback, and I need to know you understand what I'm telling you, okay? So, I'm not that serious, guys. I'm a fun-loving guy, you know. In fact, Riza gets vexed with me for making too much jokes in sessions. All right, guys. So I see the majority of you guys understand that it's 8 a.m. next week. So inshallah, like I said, it's open. The course is open to Muslims, non-Muslims. That's fine. We don't have a problem. We're all about teaching people across the, whoever wants to learn, right? So, like I said, if there's any questions as well that comes up while you're coming up with your topic or while you're coming up with your title or whatever, feel free to email training@caribbeanmuslim.net. It's an email that I check, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Now, the same training, if you don't remember what the email is, the email that's going to come to you today telling you how to access your the learning management system is going to come from training@caribbeanmuslims.net. So that is the email that you can reply back to and ask if you ever have any issues or questions or concerns between now and next session, okay? So if there are no more further questions, I will let you guys get on with your day. And well, for those in Mauritius, get on with your evening. And inshallah, we hope to see you there at the next session. And like I said, please make the commitment to stick this out. Hopefully, inshallah, we'll all be better off for it. Yeah. Okay. So take care with that, and assalamu alaikum, and have a good day.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Alaikum assalam.